Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. If you don't know who we are, I'm Cassandra, this is Mom, and we are Millennial and Mom. I just went ahead and said it for you. So we are here to recap Married at First Sight Season 12, Episode 6, Defending Your Wife. Now, I had once again, some issues with this episode. They weren't big issues like the other episodes because I really thought I was going to be annoyed 100% this episode. But it was more like a 95%. So we had a 5% break this episode.
Only 5%?
Yeah, only 5%. So in the morning, we see everyone pretty much waking up with each other. The first people we see is Ryan and Claire. We didn't really get too much out of them that morning, except for we found out that Clara, she dated before, dated frat boys, and then after that, she just dated whoever liked her pretty much.
She was talking. I think he was trying to convey to her, because I think it came up that since he's never said the L word, that's an issue, and he knows it's an issue, and he's kind of looking at her, kind of like trying to gauge, like, maybe I could, maybe I can't, I don't know. But I think deep down, again, he knows that's going to be an issue coming up. And Clara knows it too, because she was taken aback again by him not ever saying the L word.
Yeah, I mean, she thinks this is her perfect man, but that might be a little bit of hurdle. But I think there's going to be more hurdles than just the L word. And I don't think he's going to say it to her anytime soon. So let's just go ahead and jump in because we didn't really see the other couples as much. We just saw the girls meet up to go make drinks and the guys to meet up to go play craps and stuff. And Clara seems to be the narrator this episode. Everything was narrated or as told by Clara. Clara is already talking about how everyone seemed to have a good time except for Paige. And she isn't really shocked by how Chris has his news about having a baby. And I'm like, I think you had to have been shocked because no one could have seen this coming. Maybe something along the lines of maybe something extra, but a baby 3 days in? No one could have saw that.
No one saw it coming, but I also think that it was a little bit of sugarcoating going on because they can see that Paige is, I'm going to go ahead and say it, broken right now. Like she's
distressed.
She's not enjoying the moment. She's not enjoying anything. So it's come across like she's broken, and that's exactly how it seemed.
But I thought it was really cute and interesting that when all the girls were sitting with each other and Claire was like, to Brianna, you and Vincent are so cute, Champagne Vinnie. I was like, oh, I like that name.
Was it like a champagne puppy?
It was, but it's not. We know who it is, but that's Champagne Vinnie. I was like, that's cute. And then Virginia goes on to say, we're having a good time in our marriage, but we are having some issues like her being young, her being promiscuous when she was younger, even though she's still kind of young. The thing about her having guy friends, because I guess Eric says you can have guy friends as long as they're gay or they're in a relationship with someone. I'm like, well, that's kind of a flip of a coin if they're in a relationship with someone because they can still swing your way.
Yeah, they can. And again, Eric is, that conservative thing is coming out again.
Yeah,
as we see. But we also see, like later on, previously in the day, how Virginia had already talked to Clara about what was happening. See, there goes that counselor or that mediating session going on.
I'm not getting no counseling sessions from Clara.
Well, I didn't say expert because they didn't show up this episode either.
We
so
already knew that was
slightly counseling. But I did think it was interesting when Virginia did say it in this part or later on, it was later on, but with Eric about what she would and wouldn't accept. But anyways, when they get around to Paige, here goes Paige. I mean, she's already soft-spoken as it is, but just her whole conversation is like, yeah, well, da 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 da.
I mean, what else really needed to be said? Like everything that happened already happened last night, and Paige doesn't want to put herself, in Front Street again because she pretty much has already been embarrassed, if you ask me.
She acknowledged she's been embarrassed, and it's been embarrassing, which is true. But the ladies let her know, not just in this conversation, but also as the evening progresses, that they will always be there for her.
Do you think they'll always be there for her?
Well, during this experiment, during this 8 weeks, I mean, all they have to hold on to really is each other because they're the ones who know what's happening based on the situation at hand.
Well, with that being said, Paige said, this is a sprint. This isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. It's going to take some time. I'm like, don't be quoting Nipsey Hussle. this is not what it is. And then she said, we're already at sub-zero. We can't get any lower than this. I'm like, yes, you can. She seems to be pushing through. So you know what? We're going to let her continue to push through because now we're going to jump into the guys. And the guys look like they're having a good time for now with the craps.
I thought they were too no, they still look like they were having a good time. But, you know, having conversation. But when they sat down at the table, now, the person that surprised me the most was Eric. Because I was like, Eric, you are beyond tipsy. Eric was out of here.
Eric was
three
lit.
sheets to the wind.
He was super lit. I'm like, I don't know if he's high, drunk, or crossfaded. It was something because it was ridiculous. Everyone notices it. Everyone's like, are you good, Eric? He's like, yeah, you know, we're just...
Yeah, because look.
having fun, you know, we matching, we vibing.
Right.
And then with all that conversation, especially when it leads to Chris, he was like, Chris, you know, you just need to man up, man. You just need to man up because she is here for you.
When Eric said, you know, you got to man up, Chris took that personal. Now here's my thing. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. And reverse it. If you have nothing to fear, you have nothing to hide. What about that conversation, especially someone being drunk, even if it wasn't, he was still speaking the truth. You need to man up. Now, in Chris's defense on his part, he said he did man up because he let it be known to be embarrassed to let her know about the situation at hand. Okay, so like I said last week, I'm going to give you that. You did tell her, but even if you didn't, production would have told her anyways. So you did say it first, so that is the positive for Chris today for me. There you go.
Okay, let's move on to Champagne, Vincent, and Vinnie. I was really surprised by Vincent because he said he acknowledges that Rihanna is a little bit bossy, and he also sees this as being a problem in the future. I was like, I didn't really expect that from him right now. I thought it was going to take a little bit longer, maybe like week 3, not like day 4.
Oh, week 3. I'm like, it is week 3.
For
it's
us,
day 3.
week 3 for them. And their marriage.
Yeah.
I thought it was really quick. And then also with the guys' conversation, was it just me or were you surprised that Jacob and Haley had intimacy? They was connected with each other.
No, I wasn't surprised because I don't think that, I've said this before, that Haley is connected with Jacob emotionally. I think she's trying to get a friendship level. So I think they had romance to try it out, especially from her end. But I believe that Jacob had the romance, the sex, because he's into Haley. And it's not going both ways. So, no, I'm not surprised.
I was surprised. But with all that being said, I was also surprised once again that Chris was the one who initiated the intimacy conversation. Because wasn't this the same person who not so long ago told Paige to not bring up intimacy? Did I hear that right or did I hear that wrong?
No, you did, but do you notice that he brings him intimacy when he's around the guys, not when it's the guys and the women together? It doesn't happen that way because, you know.
It don't matter. If he doesn't want her to bring it up, then he shouldn't bring it up either.
Well,
that's how I feel about that. So moving on to the next scene with Jacob and Haley. They have lunch and you know what? She is staring at him in the eyes. I see a little sparkle, but there's also an awkward silence at the same time. I was like, okay, like what's going on here? Are they feeling each other? Are they not feeling each other? I don't know. Like for me, at this scene, I had mixed feelings about it.
Oh, okay. Because
it sounds like you didn't have any feelings at all.
Do you see the sparkle in my eye? Because
I said I saw it in her eye.
I know, and I was like, no. Haley looks at Jacob like, okay.
There was a little bit. I'm sure someone else saw it too. But he brings up the fact of them moving in together. How would she feel about that? She's like, you know, I've been single for a long time now.
7 years.
She's still trying to, you know, get in the groove of the whole marriage thing. So she's not 100% on board with it, but she doesn't really say no at the same time either. And then he asked her, okay, so what's your level of affection with me? Because we were just intimate, you know, like a few days ago. Now it's kind of like I'm the one who's initiated things. So are you going to do something or not? And she's like...
Which is why you didn't see twinkle in her eye.
It went away after that part when she didn't really answer that question.
We're no twinkle in her eye.
There was a little bit. And then we go on to another scene with Paige and Chris. Paige, Lord. Okay, so Chris commends Paige for, sticking it out with him because she's just been so gracious. And he is so grateful that she is still here with him throughout this whole thing.
And
so
she is eating it up.
To order some dinner for her because he just is so appreciative of it.
Well, they had to eat anyway, so.
I know. That's why I'm like, okay, so you ordered dinner. That's nice. So through this whole dinner, Paige was like, I'm so excited for you to meet my dog. I forgot what the dog's name was. He was like, yeah, I'm excited to meet your dog too. And she was like, oh, so are you gonna go on walks with him?
Take it out to
change
pee.
him, all that stuff. He's like, no,
Right.
that's your dog. Like, what are you talking about? And she was like, well, you want me to be like stepmom to a whole child? You don't even want to take the dog out to go pee or nothing? He's like, no, because if he bites my shoes or messes up my clothes, it's an issue. Like, you're going to have to pay me back for this.
You know what?
He was dead serious, too.
That whole scene right there, I'm like, Paige, how much do you need to keep experiencing? How much? You keep walking into it and he keeps going,
like, I'm not feeling it.
and she was really like thrown off, like, you're not gonna take out my dog? I'm like,
the thing with Paige, she catches it and then she be in the moment, but then Chris always says something to draw her back in.
this is my issue with Paige, because he does do that. She catches it and he brings her back in. She is so emotionally too available for someone who is not even really wanting to have your best interest at heart. They want their best interest at heart because they can see what road is going down for them, and then you're just along for the ride. And they get into, well, how do you feel about bank accounts, joint bank accounts? She's like, well, yeah, I think it's good to do bills. He's like, no.
I'm sorry. I don't need to laugh about that. but he brought up the whole conversation.
And everything turned out to be no. And she's like, well,
I'll give you money for it, but I'm not gonna do anything joint with you because pretty much you make 1/25 of what I make. Like, well, how does that work?
I'm gonna need Paige to have a little bit more charisma, moral, aptitude, you name it.
Something.
I'm gonna need Paige to have that because Paige is broken. Chris is broken too, but Paige is definitely broken to accept these things that she cannot change. Now see, I almost touched on the serenity prayer since they are supposed to be both prayerful, into church, things like that. She ought to know that, and she should take that to heart because they are not equally yoked, and she doesn't have to put up with this.
Moving on, let's move on to Eric and Virginia. And you know what? I think this is where Eric is starting to see the light because the camera pointed out to all those alcohol bottles in the room. It was a lot. Eric is like, I am not this type of person. Like, what is going on? Like,
But to give Eric credit, you are on your honeymoon. You're not at work. You're not flying no plane. So you can take a little bit of a break, come off your reserve side, and you know that your wife likes to party. Just go ahead and have a drink or two. But Eric has taken it to the extreme. Now, even if you don't drink, he's drank a lot. For someone who don't drink, the stuff that was on that counter, they drank a lot.
That's some hard drinking right there. That's not no regular drink. Those are hard alcohols right there. And he's pretty much telling her, like, when we get back to real life, this isn't going to be happening. Like, I can't be drinking Friday, Saturday, Sunday like you want me to. And she was like, even though that's what I do with my friends, you don't have to do it, but I want you to accept it. Because basically she didn't say this to him, but she said it in the confessional that she's not going to change because this is who she is. And she's going to keep hanging out with her friends. And this is where I keep going back to the point with mom. Like, I don't see how she can see that she's ready to be married because she still wants to kick it with her friends and hang out with her friends on the weekend and drink. And it's like, no, you can't do that. You're in a whole marriage.
I'm going to say it again. She's longing for something she didn't have as a child with her parents being married and divorced several times. She's longing for that family that she's always wanted. That's why she wants to be married. But is she ready because of her drinking to cope and to hang out with her friends, all that? No. But for the other part of her that's trying to kick in, but the drinking reeling her back, she wants that family life. But one thing that she said that struck me was she's a partier and she's never going to stop drinking, regardless of what he says. And I was like, wow. Now, if that is not telling, and I think Eric also needs to decide what he's going to do, because if he thinks telling her, like, well, I understand you're at this point in your life, stuff like this, you're going to have her friends at your house when you're not there since you're a pilot and you're gone 15 days a month or whatever. You can have this and that, her friends, this, that, all the things that you don't want her to have is going to be there because she said she wasn't going to change it. And another thing is, and I said this too before, Eric's trying to remind her, listen, you have to remember that you're not single no more. You are a married lady. And Virginia's just like,
At that point, I was like, she needs to go ahead and log off for me to go AA because that's ridiculous. That you're going to choose alcohol over being in a marriage. Let's move on to Vincent and Brianna. Vincent is noticing her bossy side. And I was noticing it too, especially in the bathroom. Like, it's one thing to ask, someone to go pick up something and throw it away, whatever. But you give this man step-by-step directions on what he should do and how he should do it. No one's going to be here for that. Man or woman, someone who's an adult or feels like they are an adult, they're not going to be here for it. So Brianna's bossy side definitely did come out. And I could definitely see Vincent's irritation and aggravation.
yeah.
But I wasn't expecting him to get, angry with her this quick.
No. But what happened was when she asked before they went to sleep, there was or tried to go to sleep, so we thought, oh, so is there anything that you don't care about for me? He said, I was like, uh-oh.
You knew that?
I knew that was coming because he didn't want to say it out loud right now. But then, when she said about him, what she say that he was, he doesn't listen. And then it was the next morning where they went skydiving. He's like, yeah, so after the cameras left, I had a talk with Brianna and let her know pretty much what's up. I was like, I caught that.
I was surprised. I was like, not that quick. And Brianna, after they did the whole skydiving thing, they were having fun. Brianna was like, you know what? I didn't really mean to come off as bossy. That's not who I am as a person.
I don't think she can help it.
Yes, it is.
I don't think
because your parents and your people put in your vows for you. Well, he didn't really mean to hurt her feelings, but he was like, you know what? If I let stuff in, I'm going to blow up, and I don't want to blow up on you. She's like, I get it. I understand. I'm going to tone it down a little bit.
I thought that was cool because, this is day 4, and we see what happened to other couples on day 3.
Well, let's go into the other couple. So we had...
Well, before we go into other couples,
okay.
Did you realize... Excuse me.
You okay?
Did you realize that Haley and Jacob were the only couple that did not do an activity?
Yeah, and I wasn't mad about it because it would have been boring.
No, because see, they had that lunch. And after that lunch, we didn't see them again till the group dinner. And I just thought that was interesting,
we didn't need to.
what happened with them, but I guess we find out at dinner. But
it would have been another Henry and girl if we did see them.
Christina.
We didn't miss out on anything. So we saw Paige and Chris, Eric and Virginia, Ryan and Claire go out on an ATV ride. So we're just going to go ahead and bypass how they were doing an ATV ride. It was fun. It was cool. Whatever. So basically, for some reason, whatever reason they wanted to, Virginia and Claire decided to pull Chris to the side to have a conversation basically about how they feel Paige is being treated and about their whole situation in general. And they wanted to do this because they wanted to let them know, Paige isn't being herself right now. She seems a little bit off. She doesn't feel like you're putting in enough effort. And Chris was like, what do you mean I'm not putting in enough effort? I literally just told Paige about my baby in front of the whole world. What are you talking about? That is me stepping up and putting in effort.
So the conversation goes left as you would expect it would, because Chris, first of all, is already on level 1,000 just for everything that's come up based on the stuff that he brought, honestly. And, you know, Virginia is not backing down. She's like, no, I'm here for her. And Chris is like, no, that is fake. That's fake. That's not
Right,
real
it's
stuff.
fake love, it's all that stuff. And I was really surprised that Claire went with Virginia to confront Chris about it, but Claire backed out. I'm like, Claire, what was the whole point of you coming here if you
She
didn't want
backed
to do all
out, and
this?
also when she backed out in her confessional, she's like, why would you keep pretty much
Poking
poking
the
Chris?
bear.
Yeah, poking the bear when you know he's already angry. And honestly, that's true, but I still think that there's still a little bit of something from Virginia the night before, you know, when they're talking about, is the baby yours? Because Chris is clearly holding that grudge still, because he said, you said it was a joke. You said it, you made it seem like it was a joke. I didn't think it was a joke. I just think, like you said last week, she didn't read the room. Did the tone that it came out was a little inappropriate, but it was still a valid question.
But then Virginia calls him a narcissist. Chris calls her a drunkard, and I fell out laughing because you know what? He pretty much said everything that we all thought and been saying the whole time.
And not only did he call her drunk, she's like, yeah, we got to worry about you walking around the casino drunk. I was like, I'm not trying to be like, but I was like,
it was true. And
That's
then Eric steps in. He puts his hand on Chris's shoulder, and he shouldn't have done that at all because Chris was already on a level 1000. And just don't put your hands on nobody because it could just make anyone aggravated at any moment. And he was just pretty much, you know, don't touch me. You guys say that you're here for Paige. You're not. You guys are fake, and you guys be walking around drunk. So worried about you. Don't be worried about us.
I was surprised that Eric let the conversation continue talking, because what man lets another man talk to his woman as if, I don't know. But he let it go, because I was like, that's not right. That's not cool. But at the end, you know, Chris went around to Paige, was like, hey, while everybody else was like, you know, you okay, Paige, da-da-da. He's like, no, that's my wife, da-da-da, we need to go, whatever. She's like, okay. You know, Paige tries to calm the situation down.
And then here goes Chris gonna say, you know what? They want to do this to me. I'm about to pop off. I'm gonna go off on this bus ride. It's gonna be hell going back since y'all wanna play with me. And he was going off in the bus. And I was really, well, I wasn't really surprised.
For Mr. Bless, and now they're going to be Mr. and Mrs. Woo Woo, because Chris is on that woo woo. Chris is trying to get his point across. They are too, and Paige, here we go again. It's like, okay, everybody, let's calm it down. And I'm just blown away by, again, Mr. Blessed, Mr. This, Mr. Woo Woo, and his antics, because it's not a good look. It's not helping your situation none based on the dynamics. Now, later on, we see all the couples meet up for dinner. Everyone is there except Eric and Virginia. They come in late as usual.
Yes, and Chris, you know, he decides to take the time to apologize to
Paige first, because
Well,
for
yeah.
embarrassing her, and he said he would make a public apology for the things that's gone on, whether it be what happened today or...
But I honestly wasn't even listening to Paige because I just want to hear what Chris had to say.
Yeah, and then he also apologized, Chris apologized to Clara, and he also apologized to Ryan, you know, for disrespecting his woman. I'm thinking, you know, that's what I was trying to get at earlier with Eric, but that didn't happen. But did you see Jacob's face after all that?
Jacob didn't give two poops. He just wanted his food, and he just wanted to be exit out that conversation. Whenever Chris apologizes to me, it's not sincere. Just like how Jacob was feeling. It wasn't sincere.
It circles back to Chris at the end. His apology it starts off with, you know, I'm apologizing for XYZ, but it always comes back to him somehow. It just does. You know. So then enter Eric and Virginia, who come in late, and the first thing Virginia says, let's order shots. I'm like, here we go again.
I know, Paige, you want a shot? I'm like, girl, read the room. She does not read
But
the room
that
properly.
time it wasn't about reading room. That time it was about, I'm gonna say something to stir the pot. And stir the pot, she did.
You think so?
Exactly so, because they left off on the bad note from the van ride. You think the whole van ride was peace and quiet after all that? No, it was still like in the ear, talking smack to me, because even Virginia said, well, before I get to what Virginia said, Clara's like, or Ryan was like, you know what, Eric and Virginia, he already apologized to the table, XYZ. And then Virginia was like, you know, I've never had a man talk to me like this. If my, you know, brothers or my dad was here, you know, XYZ.
Well, Eric started off the conversation because
doesn't matter.
Eric he clearly felt disrespected after the fact. And even though Chris might have wanted to apologize and all that stuff to make peace, Eric, you can't really control how someone else is going to feel about the situation. Kind of like what Chris said. Someone has a reaction, you can choose whether to react or not react. I don't think it was bad that Eric decided to express his grievances because he's never been put in that situation before. And if Chris really wanted to be apologetic, he should have sat there and listened because he was wrong. But what did Chris decide to do? Because Virginia wanted to get up, Chris decided to get up. Like, what we gonna do about this? I'm like, Chris, no one got up except for Virginia, who looked like she was trying to go with Eric. Nothing extra was about to happen.
Well, I did hear Eric say, you know, man up again. So that was already a trigger from earlier when Eric was tipsy. So I do believe that was a trigger. Chris was already triggered. And I also believe that if Eric and Virginia were at the table, I don't think he would have apologized to Eric and Virginia. I think maybe he would have glossed over the situation when it came to them, but not, you know, with them because he already said he didn't respect them. That was the difference. So, of course, Vincent had to break it up and push him away because Chris was about to be about it.
Chris were about to do nothing but run his mouth and get pushed aside by Champagne Vinnie, aka Bodyguard Vinnie, because that's all that it was. And then we see them basically get dispersed. They're still talking about the conversation. Brianna was like, I don't understand why they just came off that way because wasn't this conversation about, you know, just you and Chris? I'm like, yeah, but Brianna, you weren't there and Chris was running his mouth really recklessly.
Exactly.
So later on in the morning, we see Ryan and Clara basically talk about everything that happened. And Clara's like, you know what? I'm not putting myself in no one's business anymore. It's just going to be me and Ryan. And Ryan, you know, he kind of took this as an opportunity to be like, you know, now you can see how we should mind our business and keep your chatter to a minimum. That was basically what he said. And Clara was like, I'm not feeling that. I know, you know, I shouldn't be as open with my opinions, but not saying anything at all is not me. I'm like, that's not what he 100% said. He just said tone it down a bit.
So now we see Haley and Jacob, and once again, there's crickets in the room because apparently Haley went out for ladies' night. Now, here's my thing.
Not just ladies' night, it was couples' night, minus Jacob. I was like, how they gonna do Jacob like that? No one could have texted Jacob and be like, hey man, you know, we got the bar chilling, you want to come down or whatever.
Exactly. And he said when he did go down there and he saw them, she bolted. And I'm like, Haley, you had to do that? Because eventually he had to come to the room and hear what he had to say. But Jacob is really hurt and, you know, just taken aback by that because it's like, this is not how things are supposed to go. He thought they were getting along, this and that. I mean, there's no talking, and you know what, like I said, weren't no sparkle in that eye.
If you roll it back, you'll see a little bit of the sparkle, or maybe that was the glass in her eye, who knows. But let's move on to the very last couple, the very last scene, Chris and Paige. So the thing that stood out to me the most was the beginning of their conversation, the middle of their conversation, in the end of their conversation.
So which one? Because the beginning and middle and end is the conversation.
Without all the extra stuff that happened in between. So at the beginning of the conversation, she was like, you know, I haven't really spoke up about basically how am I feeling. And he was like, well, how are you feeling? I'm like, he already started off the conversation wrong if you ask me, because he already knew something was about to go on and he was being defensive. And then we found out from him that basically he's still in talks with his ex-fiance because he doesn't want to raise his baby, you know, in two separate households. He wants to do it in one household.
Why wouldn't he be in talks with the fiance? He just found out she was pregnant, so he's been in contact. Now, he did say, you know, he didn't know what was going to happen because the week prior, they were blocked, and this week she's pregnant. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you found out she was pregnant, whatever. And the thing with that is, Paige is still struggling to figure out what it is she wants to do. Does she want to continue on to move forward and be the stepmom? First of all, who even said you was going to be the stepmom?
She's gonna be a sister wife.
That's number one.
If that.
And, you know, she's still trying to struggle to figure out where his feelings are. Like, are they with her? Because she thinks things are, again, faithfully made, fruitfully made, equally yoked. And it's not. She knows deep down it's not. She keeps trying to convince herself it's not. But she just, I don't know, she just can't see, like, why she would be placed in this situation because they're going through the process.
Yes, she can. She can see it because God put her here. He, meaning Chris, thinks he's and her are there spiritually to be aligned together in this moment. Even though he does let her know that he still has love for his ex, which to me, everything, these whole 5 days, week or whatever, it's been written for you, Paige. Like, everything is there for you to leave. No matter how much he talks about God and spirituality and stuff, like, when is enough gonna be enough?
Here's the thing. It's not he still has love for her. He loves her. That's two different things to me. You still have love for somebody from a distance, and loving someone is different. But Chris is constantly giving Paige an out. By the things he's giving her an out every time they have a conversation, like what do you want to talk about? What do you mean? Well, what do you want to do about it? Well, how's it that you feel? Mm-hmm. And out and out and out. If she wants to stay in this is now officially on you. So we are not only watching Chris and his story play out, we're watching how you're handling yourself and how you're going to progress as a woman in a situation, in a marriage that is not meant for you. And that's all I got to say.
Well, hopefully she sees the light soon and stops being a victim and starts doing something about it. So that was pretty much the whole episode. So let us know what you guys thought about this episode in the comments down below. Do you think Virginia was wrong? Do you think Eric was wrong? Or maybe do you think Chris was wrong? Or maybe who do you think was right in this episode? Let us know what you think in the comments down below.
It's not just that. Do you think Haley was wrong?
That too. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this video to other people who also watch Married at First Sight.
Thank you all again for watching. And as always, live simply, be grateful.